from Paradsie City. Tonight we bring you a special news report that has shocked the city these past 2 days. Last night, in a daring criminal plot, the Black Widow gang of Paradsie City kidnapped Paradsie City's darling princess, Heather from the Paradsie City Club on Heather Boulevard. In a diabolical plot, the leader of the Black Widow gang apparently lured Heather from the club to an adjacent alley in the red light district where a fierce gun battle began. At the end of the shooting, Heather was cornered, manacled, and taken to one of the city's rundown industrial buildings where she was held for more than 18 hours. PCNN was the first to arrive at the building where Heather was being held. PCNN was tipped off to this location by a reliable source who was asked to remain anonymous. PCNN reporters immediately opened a dialogue with the Black Widows, seeking to understand why they had abducted Heather and what their demands were. Without surprise, the Paradsie City Police Department was slow to arrive on scene. In fact, the recently elected mayor of the city, the Honorable Sabrina Imari, was the first city official to begin negotiations with the Black Widows. Our news crew asked the mayor on several occasions where the police were and what they were doing to bring the situation to a safe and expedient end. The mayor responded that the police were working behind the scenes to resolve the issue, but would not further elaborate. PCNN cameras, however, were able to capture video footage of Captain Joanna Renfold and several Paradsie City police officers cowering in the city's subway station, confused and unsure what they should do. 2 hours into the hostage negotiations, the leader and underboss of the Black Widows announced their demands. As these demands were being discussed, a second anonymous tip was received that the building the Black Widows were holding Heather in had been wired with explosives and would detonate in 5 minutes. PCNN airborne cameras captured the dramatic explosion that rocked the city and the building. Fortunately, the explosives were not rigged in a manner that caused the building to collapse. It appears that at least 50 kilograms of high explosives detonated in a wave but were not powerful enough to collapse the steel structure of the warehouse. There were no reports of casualties. During the next 18 hours, the Black Widows continued to hold Heather in the bombed-out industrial building as the police department watched. Sometime during the 18th hour of the drama, the police finally pushed themselves away from the donuts and made their move, which finally brought the standoff to a safe end. Heather was rescued, and at least one Black Widow was being detained at the city's prison. But just as it seems that this was simply another criminal action in a city rocked by crime, there's a deeper edge to the story. PCNN has learned that the perpetrators of the abduction, the Black Widow gang, were not seeking financial ransom for Heather. Rather, they were demanding rights for the city slaves that are managed by none other than Heather from. The desperados of the Black Widows were fed up with Heather's abominable treatment of her sex slaves and were seeking to obtain a limited set of human rights for the men and women enslaved for the profit of Princess Heather. Pip Derval made it very clear that the standoff would end and Heather would be released unharmed if she received a written agreement signed by the mayor and the captain of the police department granting basic human rights to the city's slaves. So once again, it seems the city's all-woman police department finds themselves in the crack. Was this delayed response intentional? Are they involved with the sex slave industry of the city? Does the police department profit from the bogus arrest and sexual enslavement of visitors to Paradsie City? PCNN will continue its investigations into these allegations and bring you the rest of the story as it develops. This is Hirotora Akawa for the Paradsie City News Network of Second Life. Good night.